Welcome back to Shem's Universe. So today, guys, we're going to go over how to choose a successful career using AstroNumerics. So to choose a successful career, guys, a lot of you guys will reach out to me doing career readings and so forth. So I'm going to break down to you what I actually do for a career reading anyways, so that you can potentially even do it for yourself and you actually don't need me whatsoever. So the first thing that I do when I do a career reading is I ask somebody for their birthday, and then I'm going to ask them for their full name at birth, birth location, and birth time. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to pull up two different things. I want to pull up their Pythagorean core numerology chart, which shows their life path, their expression number, soul number, personality, and birth number. I'll also look at the maturity number and different secondary numbers as well, like different things like pinnacles or challenge numbers, which I'll be offering in a future numerology reading, which is going to be called my advanced numerology reading, which covers the secondary energies as well. The next thing that I look at is the astrology portion of it, which is the tropical astrology. And I'll look at their big three, so the sun, the moon, the rising, and then I'll look at the 12 houses, the governing signs in those houses. I also will look in the money houses of what planets are actually in those houses, because that's going to tell me a lot about the nature in which they can actually earn different incomes. So let me break this down a little bit more to you guys so you fully understand this. So if you were to give a career reading to yourself, or how you use AstroNumerics to actually develop a successful career as such, there's a big three in numerology that you want to look at: the life path, the birth number, and then your expression number, which is the full name at birth. Even if there was a typo on the birth certificate, the expression number would still stand and be the same. Whatever that name is, you do not alleviate, like, don't go away from that whatsoever. So life path number first. If somebody's like a life path 8, that's going to give me the idea that they're meant for entrepreneurship or politics, sports, or business. You get somebody who's a life path 1, same sort of thing. They're meant to be in charge, but that's not enough. What you have to know also after that is, well, how do they think? Do they think like an entrepreneur, or do they think like an entertainer? Are they very empathetic? How am I going to know that to tell them what the nature of their business is that they should be doing? The next thing I have to look at then is their birth number, meaning the day that you're born. If you're born the 25th, you're a 7 birth number. 16th, you're a 7. If you're born the 8th, you're an 8 birth number, and you guys get it. I'm just giving you a few examples. That's going to tell me how somebody thinks very naturally and what their natural inclinations will be. Arguably, a lot of the time, people that have like a birth number 1, for instance, like being born on the 1st, the 10th, 19th, or 28th, they have more propensity towards going towards entrepreneurship than even some life path ones. The reason being is because in Chaldean, we call that the psychic number, your psyche, how you think. So that birth number is going to naturally make you gravitate towards situations where you're not being micromanaged, because you just find it just too much. It's just too much for you guys. In other words, you don't like it. Whereas a life path 1 might be able to put up with it, depending on that day number, birth number, psychic number situation, right? The next thing is the name number. This is really the real like career number. When I want to know what somebody wants to do for a career, I'll look at this very, very particularly, because it's going to tell somebody how to be successful in their life path. So for instance, I'm a life path 8, but I have an expression number in Pythagorean of 14/5. That 14/5 then brings me to having very good above average communication skills, which in turn I've used now for YouTube, where I write reports and I verbally give reports as well and do consults. So I'm going with that 14/5 energy by doing that. I also am into crypto and stocks as well. And then that also leads me to the second part of 14/5, which talks about you can get rich off of fact-based communication. This is the Chaldean definition for it. And then also speculative marketing. So that's where I start looking at different markets, like the stock market and the crypto market, seeing the volatility, and then finding out how I can get in between that and get some money. So that's what you can do as well. When you look at your expression number, you then can see how are you supposed to accomplish your life path. So like, let's say if I was a life path 3, for instance, with that same expression number, I then can bridge that to saying, okay, well, even if I trade stocks and so forth, I can make a YouTube channel out of that and then get famous for that, and then hit the life path 3's expectations of being recognized for my skill set. If I was a life path 7 with that expression number, I'd do the stock and speculative marketing part very privately, and then probably not teach anybody anything, as a life path 7 is more so secluded. They can be extremely good teachers. I have a life path 7 is one of my mentors, but it just depends on the type of attention that they want. A lot of them don't want attention from the media and so forth, and that's why they more so stick in the shadows. So that's just an example for you guys. You have to look at the relationships between your day number, meaning your birth number, your expression number, and your life path number, Find the fine medium with those, and you can then develop a career that actually is appreciative or complementary to all three of those numbers. If you have a hard time finding that sort of equilibrium or like that sense of moderation between those numbers, you then move on to the astrology portion of it, which is your sun, moon, and rising. The main one you care about for this is the sun and the rising. I'd say the moon too, because the moon has a lot to do with money, but the sun sign is going to tell you about your ego, what your natural predispositions are, and then the rising sign is going to tell you how you actually go up in life. So the rising sign, I always tell people on my consults and readings, rising sign expression number are pretty much supposed to be one and the same. They're symbolic of the same thing. How do you actually be successful in life? So looking at that rising sign, you then have to evaluate what rising sign is it. Is it a Gemini rising sign, a Virgo rising sign? If it's a Gemini, then maybe you're supposed to do something communication based or something within speculative marketing, just like that 14/5. Or if it's a Virgo rising sign, you're meant to maybe develop systems of sorts and then automate your income, right? So it all depends on what you actually choose to do in respects to how do you actually appropriately devise or utilize your rising sign. Because your rising sign is going to tell you how to make money the easiest. It's the first house. It tells you actually how to get things done the easiest. If you follow that and then move on to the 2nd, 6th, and 10th house within your astrology, you need to look for a few different things. Is your 2nd, 6th, and 10th house all one element? Is it all earth? If it's all earth, then maybe you're meant to do like real estate, agriculture, things that are earthly. If is it water, you're meant to maybe help other people, be therapeutic. If it's fire, you're meant to follow your passion. If it's air, it's simply intellectual, but you could be detached. So these are the different things that I'm looking at when I do a career reading, but you can also do it for yourself and start seeing that these different symbols or these different numbers in various positions are all leading you down to one conclusion. It's like, okay, you're meant to be like an entertainer if you have a lot of like 3 energy in your chart, or you're meant to be a business person if there's a lot of 8 and 1 energy, right? So it differentiates between each person, but the astrology will give a symbol to what the numerology was already trying to tell you. Just going to tell it to you in pictures instead. So the 2nd house devises like how you make the easiest money. The 6th house is about material transaction, and the 10th house is all about like what you're supposed to be known for. So I'd say the biggest indicative ones in the astrology chart when looking at it from a tropical perspective would be your 2nd house, then the 10th house. 2nd house, lucky money, and the 10th house, like what you're naturally going to be known for. If you can incorporate these things, sun sign, rising sign, 2nd house, 10th house, those 4 variables with your life path number, psychic number, meaning the day number, and expression number, you should see very common themes within those positions in both charts. And then through that, you can then see what you're meant to do for a career. So that way you don't need an astrologer or a numerologist like me or anybody else. You can do it for free. You can use online calculators, and then you can start seeing what the universe wants from you from a symbolic perspective and a numeric perspective. Bring them together, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of good luck with the career that you end up choosing. Because once it goes with your energy, guys, it goes with that chart, it's a lot easier to be successful in it than doing something that actually goes against the chart. For the most part, what we have in our charts, what we secretly want to do anyways, maybe it was put away from being a kid and parents said you couldn't do it. So it's very important to look at these things and then see if your natural inclinations are something that you're supposed to be doing, or maybe it's something completely different. You have to just look at it, figure it out, and you'll definitely have a lot more good luck doing it with this data set. Meaning when you actually start your career, having this data set behind you will put you eons beyond other people. When you do something like that, especially if you're going to develop a business, my last piece before I go is then you want to look at things like your transits, then see when to actually start your career or start like a new job or a new business, when to get it registered and so forth. That's all going to be seen what we call a transit report, which tells you different planetary influences that are around you at any given time. All right, so thank you guys so much for your time today. If you have any questions for me whatsoever, just leave in the comment section. Aside from that, like, subscribe. Holla, I'm easy for today, guys. Peace.